Looks like I'm connected to though. I ain't fighting. Hold on. Oh shoot. What's up, y'all? I handle something. How y'all doing? I'm Florida retiree boom. I'm just retired, going into my senior citizen community, closed gated community boom. I'll be right back. The reason I'm rich, because I had my percentage. Okay. Get all my things going on. Jerry Boom. What's up, Drea? Hey, I'm Gold. All right, y'all. I'm setting up, but we're going to do episode 2. Wait, I got to show you my socks. And when I leave out, I'm wearing my slides. Wearing my slides. It's that kind of mood today. Hold on. I'm fresh out the shower, so my moisturizer might be all on. We good. How y'all doing? Big full moon day. Hope y'all are all right. Hope y'all taking it easy. Hope y'all chilling. I'm gonna make a quick itinerary for this episode. I'm gonna just do it on the spot. Let me know if that fan is too loud. It's hot in here. It's hot in here. But let me know if that fan is too loud. Okay. Intro recap. Numerology. And Gematria. And Astrology. And then we might go over some synopsis for the 2 stories. Yeah, I hope y'all are taking it easy. I know I am. And just, I didn't do too much over the weekend. I got some really, really good news. But I'm going to sit on it for a little bit before I share it. I got some divination tings, just a deck of cards that I got last year. I think they're cool. They're like galaxy cards. But and they're all missed. Child, that is not good, child. Let me get my life real quick. I'll do the 1, 2, 3. Oh, all the hearts are in place, so that's cool. So I'll just use this. I'll use all the hearts. I gotta shuffle those. But yeah, so today is gonna be episode 2 of the Writer's Room. I'm gonna be standing and walking and talking. I hope y'all good. I'm Jam. I'm Jerry Boom. Like Drea said, I'm, just retired. I retired and now I live in Florida. Boom. And got the chest out. That's me. And so episode 2, well, let's do a recap of episode 1. So this is just introducing how I go about writing stories and all the crazy scenarios that go on in my head. And I say, wait a second, let me anchor it, bring it down, make it make sense, have a meaning and reason behind it, and put it out into the world. And so this is how I go about doing it. And I decided to put it on the internet because a few weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I said I'm going to write an entire play on the internet. And this is happening. It's happening. All right. So last week was the introduction of the Black Jester and Think Pink. And I was just thinking about this today too, and we're going to dive into the astrology, but astrology is a tool. Numerology, Gematria, it's all a tool. It's how we derive meaning and reasoning. It's how we make sense out of things and we order and structure things. In my kooky brain, my life is a farce, everything's a satire, everything is a movie brain utilizes that as a tool. So shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man. And shout out to all the astrologers in the soul group doing their motherfucking thing. They inspire me a lot to get in my bag and to also say, hey, I know something about astrology too. You can't tell me I don't know nothing about it because I learned from the best. So let's dive right into it. I'm on my phone. I think last time I did, I was on my laptop. Then I was looking back at the video. I was like, yeah, it's cool and all. And that was on my tablet on the Android tablet. I'm like, I got an iPhone Pro Max 13 surplus thing. I got the whole world in my hands and I ain't use it. So I'm gonna be on my tablet today, and I finally got my password to log into my Drive, and this is where I put all my ideas. So we're using a tablet today. I'm using a tablet. We got cards. I think I got some dice, but they're the D&D dice, and I won't be using those today. But divination tools, obviously, to create stories. What else we got? And my handy dandy, this is like my red passion book for creating like new performance theories and just theories in general, like new ideas that I want to bring down. The Big Boom Theory. What's up, Rick? Boom. And so yeah, institutional critique. Yeah. So I got this handy just in case I have like a discovery. I'm like, I gotta write it down. And then I also have, I think I talked about it last week. No, I definitely talked about it last week. But I have, this is kind of like, I called it like I got it during Pisces season. So it's just like my dreams book. Because usually I like to like make things happen right away. So I'm like, I got an idea. Boom, make it happen. But it's like, I want to allow myself to just have an idea and to just like sketch and journal and doodle and, before I put it on a schedule, before I make it real, I just doodle, and these are just ideas. And then I also have a book specifically for the Black Jester and Think Pink, and I called it, it's gone through a lot of name transformations. This was the Mythical Mundane. But yeah, you see Think Pink and the Black Jester here. And just kind of organize them. So let's get into it, y'all. So that's what I'm utilizing. Oh, and my mind, my dirty old mind, my no good, filthy mind, got clear out my space. So like I said before, astrology, gematria, numerology are all tools that we utilize. Now, people utilize them for their desires. You have a government, a body, an organization using it to run the world. You have astrologers using it to help people out on the internet in real life throughout history. I don't want to be too stuck in where we are right now. I mean, it's good to be present, but this shit goes way back. in the history of humankind. And when I started thinking about it and started doing the movie Decode Night, and also shout out to Bobby Hemmett, because that's when I got the inspiration. I started watching Bobby Hemmett in 2019, and it was just a spiral after that. But he would do this thing during his lectures. This was like the 90s, so, you know, people had to get it on tape and shit. But he did this mythological breakdown and kind of getting more nitty and gritty than just, oh, the acting was good or the costumes was good. He would always find a way to correlate, because it was there, to correlate the plot or the characters to a myth. And usually they were of the African diaspora or the Greek and Roman pantheon. But I just thought that shit was incredible, and then inspired me to do my my decode movie night, which is going to be media mythos, to kind of, because we're going to decode a lot of things, and I'm just a nerd. That's it. I don't go no further than that. But so when astrology came into play, understanding the way that, you know, we all utilize them as a tool. So this is the way that I utilize it. Archetypes. I've always been fascinated by archetypes in heightened literature. Poetry was my first love. That was like one of the first things actually, dance was my first love. I like dance when I was a kid. But anyway, then poetry, because I liked like the gift for gab, and I liked like rap. In rap, you can just hear how people, and then spoken word poets. But anyway, so mythology, and when I would read mythology, I'm like, wait a second, like Zeus, Apollo, like none of that makes sense right now. But it was just so cool to me as a kid, and to this day. But now I understand that it's all allegory for our mind, right? And what we do with it, and the fucked up things we do with it. So when I think of the 12 signs, or first the 12 houses, and then the stars are born out of the houses, you think what those houses represent. So I'll start with astrology. So we have 1 through 12. The first house, and the reason I'm bringing this up is to structure the story. So structuring my story, you know, you read a book, episode 1. Though, you know, there are abstract books, or there are, you know, kind of like those experimental books, authors who say, fuck the system, fuck the number system, which is cool. You know, like there's no order. This is just how I go about it. And I want to emphasize that, like, I'm not saying this is how to go about it. This is just how Boom does it. This is just how Boom does it. So I'll start with 1. I'll say the first house has to do with our personality. So oftentimes, if you pay attention to any book or movies are a little bit different, because I think they play more on the time. I mean, you know, obviously there is a screenwriter writing, but when I started watching movies, I started looking at like the time of certain words, and like, oh, that was said at a minute. Maybe that's something else. Maybe I'll write that down. But anyway, let's just stick to books as the example. So you got episode 1. So that has to do with the personality, personal interest, your flaws, your mistakes, the good and the bad, all about you. Or a certain individual. 1, the 1. I'm going to skip 0 for now. I might save it for the end. But that's just the 1. So, got the ace here. So in astrology, that is the Aries constellation and all the influences that come from there. So Aries has to do with cardinal fire. So this is, again, astrology, numerology. Even though it started from the houses system, it's astrology, it's numerology and gematria. So I'll just start with astrology. So I'll just say that's the Aries constellation. Then I'll say that's the first house. Then I'll say this is cardinal fire, being able to initiate new ways of thinking and feeling, and being headstrong. This is the gematria. So the gematria comes with the modalities and the element, and how we see it physically with our eyes in real life, but then also, you know, this is a story. So in the story. So this is how we'll see it right away. Like burning bush came to my mind, you know, like the burning bush. Or someone who's hot-headed. You know, from the Aries constellation, we can derive certain archetypes and personalities that come, all right, you know, like, all right, that's someone who's always thinking about themselves. They can be selfish. It can be a positive or negative. But when we think of selfish, you know, in our time, we think of someone who just only thinks about themselves. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm selfish. I put myself first. But I know that I can't do nothing in my environment until I got myself figured out. And I'm learning more and more every day how to figure myself out. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. So then the 2, chapter 2. 2 is relating, duality. This is numerology, relating, duality. In astrology, the second house has to do with our values. Excuse me. What we're willing to compromise, like love, but not necessarily like romance love. We can love ourselves. We can love a hobby, a habit. We can love and we can compromise for these things. There's also a dark side to these things. You overindulge in these things, and then you have to learn how to do things in moderation. So this is 2. In astrology, the Taurus constellation was born out of the second house. So this is the astrology of it. You think of Taurus, you think of the bull. You think of someone who's stubborn. So this is fixed earth. That's the Gematria. And then getting more into the Gematria of it, thinking about deriving what personalities and personas and characteristics come out of what you think of. 2 is also relating. So it could be relating your passion, because we're building. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't stand on their own, even though they can. It's all together. So it could be building. Let's think of like episode 2, chapter 2. You know what? I'm gonna use my story as the example. I'm sitting here trying to find examples everywhere. Like, yeah, I'm gonna use the black jester. So let's go back, because I'm gonna use this system. I'm gonna use a 1 through. I actually want to do 18 chapters. I'm going to do 18 chapters to kind of recreate a 180, because I want the Jam character to kind of like have a realization, like a boom, but then also it's like a realization of self, but then the character is also going to have like a realization of what's going on in their environment, kind of like the deeper, because it's war and it's like, oh, okay, I got myself figured out. Oh, but that's just half the battle, because you in the middle of a whole intergalactic federation war type of thing going on. So, yeah. There'll be 18 chapters of that. In the first chapter for the Black Jester, it's going to be all about the character. I want to introduce the character as much as possible. And I know for me, like, I like to deal with comedy. Comedy is like the supreme genre. So it'll be, I'm setting in 2012. And so that's going to be, like kind of a challenge for me, just because I do like to use pop culture references and what's going on right now. But I'm going to just like do all of that and set it in 2012. So the Jam character, which is based off of me, is going to be just graduating high school and like going into college. And so that's introducing through the institution of college, or the institution, just society in general. What's going on, y'all? You're going to understand kind of like the personal issues that Jam goes through, as far as like living up to expectations. Am I good enough for college? I want to spark a new idea, but you kind of got to go along with the program. So there's a lot of different things going on as far as, again, utilizing like the first house, personal issues. I want to spark a new idea. I want to go to school, and that idea, and I'm just spitballing right now, but it's very much true. It's very much based on a true story. I'm going to write some of this down while I'm talking, but kind of thinking about that cardinal fire idea. I want to be the first in my family to graduate. That's a new idea, is at least in your environment. You see how we can play out even in the most mundane things? And it's funny because the series is called The Magical Mundane. Child, I'm sweating, child. But I'm in the groove. Get into the groove. What Madonna say? So I like that idea. I'm going to write that down real quick. Little jot. Hold on. Get into the groove. Yeah, like cardinal fire. And then, yeah, first in the family to graduate. That's something on its own. So that can be something let's say as a writer, like from the writer's perspective, this is something that you want to portray. But again, we have so many ways of portraying this. I could outright just say that, like as the Jam character. Oh, I really just want to be the first in my, but that would be so boring. You know what I'm saying? So I want to show different obstacles, use other characters. So there's going to be a mom character. I'm already imagining these things. A mom character, maybe a college admissions character. maybe like a best friend character to kind of represent, you know, where Jam comes from and where Jam is going. That can even represent some south node, north node type of energy. You see how like the shit, it's like a rain cycle. Like I'm a figure out like, cause you know, I'm just spitballing and it's really just, you know, coming out, but I'm gonna figure it out. I've been sitting with this idea for almost a year now. But I just had that moment of like, damn, that makes sense. Like, oh, boom, all right. So yeah, it all influences each other. And it's up to us, you know, say like you are the creative, and it doesn't, well, I'm gonna stick to writing because I always say that, like, it don't have to be just writing. It's just writing right now. It's just writing right now. But how we can take these phenomenal, and I only say that to represent kind of like the esoteric or the mystical, like these phenomenal phenomenas we derive, we understand what it is on its own. You got to understand what it is on its own. And I'll get back to introducing these. Don't everybody know. It's like a reminder to people, to be honest. But know what it is on its own, and then reminding yourself that it's a tool. It's a hammer, and you build a house. It's the number one, and you make an episode. It's the number one, and you write a character. You know, so it's the tool, and it's up to you to utilize what you're going to utilize it for. All right, so where was I? So it was episode 1. All right, 2, relating. I went through that. So this is where I would introduce conflict, because in order, you gotta, if you love something, like, it has to be something that you're not willing to lose, and or if you do lose that thing, you're gonna fight tooth and nail. So I want to introduce the conflict here. I would introduce the conflict here, and that would be what it doesn't have to be the Jam character, because the central character doesn't have to be the only example. You know, other people could be going or exemplifying the 2 energy in chapter 2, but just for the sake of, you know, this story, and are we going to jot it down? We're going to put it out, push it out. Jam is I'm going to introduce that, like, that high stakes kind of, like, what is Jam willing to lose? And honestly, I might not know it right now. I'm going to just write it down, though, because I don't know it right now. Like, I got to be real. But we could say, because this is so me, like, just putting so much pressure on yourself to succeed. And I think, honestly, like, that's enough, especially in this day and age. And in 2012, it was no different. You know, I put pressure on myself to succeed. I think I want to buy my mama a house. I want to make sure my family good so I can go and achieve my goals. You know, these are things that I think about right now. And then this can be shit. You know, you can see how you can just, like, take your personal experiences and then put them into the character. And then this is what makes the character more dynamic. So I put down compromise, question, just success, honestly. And I think everybody in our generation can relate to that shit. Because it's like, where is it? You know, we grew up and, you know, I'll use myself as an example. You grow up and you're told, oh, go to school. That's where the money is, you know? But then you get to school and you're like, wait a second, it's a fucking circus here. And, like, in order to get the bag, you got to, like, create a whole new avatar. And I'm just trying to come into my avatar. You telling me I got to, like, rewire and recircuit? And, you know, during college is when I started to, like, disconnect. You know, you disconnect from what you were taught to believe as a kid, in a rebellious way, because that's just how it plays out. You know, we all fucked up, but it on a percentage level, you know, I separated to a certain extent, but that was in order for me to cultivate my own belief system, to say, okay, this is how I want to walk as a man. You know, this is how I want to walk as a man. But to say that this can be the universal kind of virtue and principle that can be put into the story. So just like success, I'm writing down. I'm writing this down. I'm over here. What's up? Oh yeah, I introduced these earlier. How you doing? I got these last year, but then I had my whole deck. It was not. I did not sort my deck out, but all the hearts was in place. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just use these. But thank you. I ordered them online like shit. Like a generational kind of like problem. Okay. 3. We're in the 3 right now. So 3, your environment. What you're most familiar with, your surroundings. The people that you're closest to, the thoughts that you're closest to, the feelings that you're closest to. It's like that thing that makes you feel at home, but you're not at home. And then the 4th house is where you're going to be at home. But it's like that thing that, like, comfort food. I think of comfort food. I think of the 3. I think of reality TV shows if you watch them on a consistent basis. But anyway, I'm getting to the gematria first. But let's go back to the numerology. The 3, the 3rd house, also represents communication, where you develop that. Mercury. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So 3rd house, and then Gemini was born out of there. Mercury is ruling Gemini, and that's communication. That's quick, fast. That's jestery. That's jester. And I had that thought right before I started the video about what are the planetary influences. That's the black jester is very much influenced by like mercurial energy and Neptunian energy. I'm getting ahead of myself because I really want to stick to introducing these one by one, or reminding one by one. Everybody know. So Gemini, 3. So the gematria that comes out of that, I just said, a jester, someone who has the gift of gab, someone who is willing to learn new languages. And communication doesn't just have to do with language. It can do with thinking. It can also do like nonverbal communication. Just good at relating, honestly. Kind of when you go somewhere, when you're at work and you be like, yeah, it's my cousin. 3rd house energy, like to make something familiar. And then the 3rd episode of the Black Jester, this is where I want to, okay, so let's get into the synopsis. So this is going to be where, so in episode 2, Jam kind of has this conundrum. What's going to end up being the solution, the resolution to, what he's willing to compromise for? He has to just work. It can just be as mundane as that. He just has to find a job, and that can be his way of going into, what's going on, y'all? And I said demigod characters. Yeah. No, yeah, and staying true to that whole idea of mythologizing. But anyway, so Jam just gets a job, and that job happens to be the what's going on, Chance? That job just happens to be he works at a Renaissance fair. And I'm looking at the Joker card right fucking now. This is so funny. This is the Black Jester. This is literally the Black Jester. But he would be black. Like, like the face would be blacked out. No, we ain't dealing with race. Not with this one. It is going to be hood, though. Like, it's going to be like, cause I just love hood movies. It's just going to be, yeah, but we don't got shit. Everybody be hood. Shit, body quas, buy everybody. Look at Eminem. All right, now I'm get caught up in that. So, Jam gets a job at the Renaissance Fair. 3 is where I want to introduce the Renaissance Fair, and he gets recruited, and we need someone to work as the jester. Boom. I'm gonna write this down. So Jam is recruited as the jester. And it can kind of be like training day, like Denzel influences. You have someone who already works there who's probably a trained clown, a trained professional in the field, and he ends up learning from the best. But Jam already has this inclination to like theater and performance and, this whole idea of just entertainment in general. So, but there is that virtue and principle of the color black. I'm glad I brought that up then. This whole idea of a mix of all the colors, and it's up to us as spirits to separate those things, so we don't get lost in our chakras. We don't get lost in those things. And how I'm gonna anthropomorphize, how I'm gonna personify it is Jam is gonna learn different tools of the trade. So as the jester, you need to be able to sing, or at least hold a note. as a jester, you need to be able to tell a joke. That's not a joke. The first thing that came to mind was like, why did the cage bird sing? That's not a joke, but it's like, why did the cage bird sing? You know, but ellipsis, y'all get it. I'm no stand-up comedian, though. Stand-up comedians are my favorite entertainers. I admire them so much because I know it's something that, like, it take a lot. I know it take a lot to do and be good, even if you bomb it. But still, like, stand-up comedian. But I'm gonna learn how to be a stand-up comedy. Another color that could be maybe. Let me write this down. Jam. So it says separating the colors. So it said like singing, joking, acting. You have to be able to act, to give a monologue, you know? To be or not to be. That is the question. And that could just be like a scene. That's another color. Juggling and jousting. I might just keep it at like seven tools of the trade. Oh, like something like wooing or courting, like literally like, and that's funny because like you think of a court jester, but like courting or like being able to woo or croon. The crooning is singing. But like say like be able to woo the audience, rather like in a romantic sense, like the females are like, or like the dudes are like, I don't know, like, yeah, we'll table that. But I'm gonna stop there for 3. I'll just do the first 3 episodes because I also want to do Think Pink. Think Pink always get the short end of the stick, and that's like that's my baby right there. Think Pink is the Nicki biopic, kind of fun little idea that I'm doing. But anyway, that is, yeah, I'll leave it at those 3. Hold on, I'm gonna take a little break. So that was cool. I liked it, like, kind of what we were able to, like, discover in that. And again, just the tool, just the tool, and how learning about astrology, learning about gematria, learning about numerology, you know, you apply it, and then you just use it as a tool for how you go about things. But what's going on, y'all? $, much love. Take a little break. See me sweating. I'm gonna switch gears for a little bit because I'm gonna hop off in about 10 minutes. But I'm gonna switch gears for Think Pink. Because I already wrote an episode and I want to share it here with Chow. So yeah. Utilize, and let me wrap that up because I want to, be consistent as a teacher. But let me wrap that up. First, knowing what these things are just based on what they are, and knowing what they are for what they are. We know our houses. We know the constellations that were born out of them. We know the planets that rule over them. And then having an understanding of human psychology. Because basically that's all that theater is. It's kind of just like, it's romanticized psychology. And it's up to the playwright how creative they are and what they're going to be presenting. And these are just, kind of like basic principles that, I remind myself when I'm writing. All right. Hold on. See my socks? All right. Planetary influences. I might save that for episode 3. But I do want to get into that. All right, so. All right. What was that? That was me just switching gears, and we're going into Think Pink now. because it's 2 stories. It's the Black Jester and Think Pink. They're going to be the pilot episodes. First 3 episodes, maybe 4. But this is the let go of the dollar sign. What's my sign? I am a Aquarius. I'm a Capricorn, Aquarius sun, Taurus moon, Scorpio rising. But this is my Think Pink. I have a new one. But anyway, thinking about utilizing I mean, obviously there's going to be an order to it no matter what. But I already wrote a pilot episode, like a script. And to be honest, even without thinking about beforehand, because like I said, you don't necessarily have to even order it first. You just write your story and then maybe add the order to it too. Then maybe add the order to it afterwards. Like, okay, this is a bop, 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 and then you can start to map it in your own head. You don't even have to spell it out for the people who are reading it or experiencing it, whether it's a play. But this is another timepiece too. And I just started writing this one just cause. And as I'm writing it and going through it, then I'm going to derive more so the constellation influences and the planetary influences. And then right away, since it's based off of a prominent figure, it's based off of Nikki, I would want to use energy alignments or just like energy and alignments, energies that has to do with just her, her astrological makeup, like heavy Sagittarius shit, heavy Aquarius shit, heavy Virgo shit. But also this very Barbie, Neptunian type of when I'm channeling or when I'm writing for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like channeling, but just, let me think more imaginative. Let me think more of burning bridges, if I have to utilize, if this campfire, which I think of like Sagittarius as campfire, Aries like a fucking wildfire, Leo like blowing fire, like, and the Sagittarius like the campfire, like, but do I have to turn this campfire into a fucking wildfire? Like things like that. And then worrying too, just because that's her moon. But anyway, so Magical Mundane series, Think Pink, episode 1. Also, the series was based off of one of her bars from Freedom, where she said, "My career's been the pink print. When I retire, tell them think pink, think pink." So Think Pink, episode 1. And I'm going to do this like fun thing where I just name all the episodes one of her bars. So the first episode is, "I came out looking a party, ... Where the barbs at? Where the barbs at? If you a barb, let me know. Let me know, because this one's for the barbs. This one's for the barbs. Boom is a barb. Boom is a barb. All right. So, year 1999. So this is just a basic layout. I'll like show that. Chance, do you like timepieces? I do like timepieces when I don't gotta write them. And it's coming from a place of procrastination, honestly, because you got to stay true to it. Like, if it's a timepiece and it's set in 1999, while I'm writing, I'm going to say, like, and she pulled out her phone. Well, not everyone had access to cell phones in 1999. So I have to remind myself, oh, okay, Nikki pulled out her pager, which is actually something that I put in the script. Like, she pulls out her beeper. And it's like, I just have to remind myself of these intricacies that maybe not to be too existential right now, but like maybe we just kind of take advantage of or take for granted, like the fact that we are already so deep in this rabbit hole of like society that just pulling out a phone is just so secondhand to us. Where it's like, when from the writing perspective, like, okay, don't forget to add the phone, and the I want to say, like, the detriment of technology, like shit like that. Not to get too far out there, if that makes sense. But it's honestly just staying true to the time, with little references here and there, if that makes sense. This the barb. Yes, it is the barb show foots. You a barb foots? Tell me later. But yeah, this is Think Pink. So I'll just give you all an example and then I'll just wrap it up here. But I kind of just went ahead and I just imagined what Nikki like this is before, you know, becoming a rapper. And again, my primary source for this show, or this play, is her E series special that came out in like 2010. And it was like super revealing of like her childhood. I don't think even like the MTV series didn't really talk about that. It talked more so about, or the MTV documentary that was like the biggest one in 2010. And then she did another one in 2014. That was like the biggest one. But the one on E, which is only on Daily Motion these days, it went really into detail about before the fame. So I just used that as a starting point, and then I just dreamt. You know, you just dreamt, and I brought it down here. So one of her biggest influences, Foxy Brown. So like I had, like, she's at a party, you know, Tables Turned by Foxy Brown plays, Rap Cypher, dudes freestyling, and then right here, going back to what Chance had brought up, just about like if I do like timepieces, it's like I just had to remind myself, beeper buzzes, not your iPhone. Like, all right, beeper buzzes. All right. You know, like think of 8 Mile. Even though I've never seen that movie, like I'm thinking of 8 Mile, like, so it's kind of like a 8 Mile situation, like a rap cipher there in Queens, you know. I don't know shit about Queens, but you know, I could just imagine. I saw things I imagined. Shout out to Solange. So, all right. It's too many dudes up here, too many dudes. We need a female MC. Any females out there know how to rap? So one of Nikki's friends like, ooh, you know, because like at this point, Nikki, like, you know, she raps, but she doesn't really rap. So it's going to be that whole build up of what was the courage, you know, like what was the story behind, like, we see Monster Nikki, but what was like Onika's journey to getting to that? What was the inner journey of getting to that? Did you have to build courage? Did you have to build? So, you know, I kind of play more so on like the human psychology and having an understanding of that before the astrological. You can do it either way. But yeah, so the biggest thing, and I'm not going to read all of this, but the biggest thing that I want to introduce, and I'll just close this, was the fairy godmother character that Nikki introduced in kind of like her first album era, like Pink Friday era, that whole like fairy godmother in the Moment for Life music video. Because I want there to be an esoteric element to these stories, and that's going to be the direct way of getting it, or getting to the point, I want to say. So what ends up, you know, Nikki bumps her head in the dream world, in her subconscious realm, between this realm and like this realm. Close our eyes. Fairy godmother is there. She personifies this, you know, Lord character that's just like kooky, crazy, and it's everything that we know about Nikki now. But there's kind of this inner battle between like, what are you talking about? Like, I got a family to take care of. I can't be an entertainer. I should have finished school. You know, things like this that people think about. And I'm going to wrap it up because I'm about to head out in my, I'm going to have my slides on. I'm retiree boom. You know, I just retired. So I'm in Florida. You know, I'm in Florida now. Got my chest out. I got no cares in the world. You know, my stocks went up. But thanks for rocking with me, y'all. And this was an introduction. Again, let me wrap everything up. This was an introduction just how I utilize astrology, Gematria, and Numerology to create plots. And this is just the first of many because I've got really, you know, really mad science-y just about how to utilize these tools in a curriculum in introducing theater to people who, you know, never participated in theater before. Because that was me, you know? And I'm always thinking about how to, you know, give back in that sense. And honestly, create an original curriculum. You know, shout out to Meisner. Shout out to... I can't even think of people's names. You know, just shout out to everyone who's had their own kind of way of introducing or method acting. Whoever invented that. Stanislavski? Chekhov? No, those are playwrights. Shout out to Richard Schechner. He's a performance theorist. Huge influence. But yeah, Jam wants to have his own performance theory. Jam has his own performance theory. Shout out to Augusta Boal. Go check out Augusto Boal. I'll do some posts about Augusto. But that's like theater of the oppressed. And that's a huge influence for me as far as the philosophy goes, like introducing theater in non-theater spaces, like going to jails, prisons, as theater workshops, going to senior citizens' home, theater workshops, kindergartners, pre-K, theater workshops. And And just, you know, whether it's someone who maybe like, oh, I always thought about, because again, I always think about myself. And this is the, you know, going back to what I was saying earlier about being selfish, but in a good way. Like I think about myself where, you know, I kind of just like crept into it, and then it was this boom, and it was like self-awareness and all of that came into one. And maybe someone else could benefit from that. Young or old, man or woman, or animal. I don't know. But yeah, let me get up over here. Look at, hey, every day, look. Senior citizen, retiree boom, because I don't look like a senior citizen. Infinite potential. My call. Shout out to you. Hope you're having a good day. Y'all take care. And episode 3 coming up next. Y'all have fun. Take care. Keep experiencing. And Jam is out.